My intuition is insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Garrett, do you take Taylor to be your wife from this day?
No, I don't know.
The wedding episode is upon us, and what it tells me is that this reunion is going to be a bloodbath. Things were a little too calm, and I feel like it's the calm before the storm. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss Love is Blind, the wedding episode of season 7, episode 12. Yes, we are in my closet. I live in New York City. There is an incessant sound outside of my apartment, and if I didn't record this video today, it wasn't gonna happen. So yes, we are in my closet. I just thought to myself, what would Carrie Bradshaw do? And she would make it happen. She would probably make big, pay for a studio, but that is not my situation, so here we are. We're gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna start with Ramses and Marissa. We left off with them having a not so pleasant conversation. So we wanna check in on them, see where they're at. Before we do, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. I make a lot of commentary videos on Love is Blind, 90 Day Fiancé, things like that. If that is your thing, hit the subscribe button. Ramses and Marissa. They're still in the thick of this tense conversation. Ramses obviously talked to someone and he's like, you know, I found out that my ex-wife actually took the divorce harder than I thought. And Marissa's rolling her eyes, just like I was rolling my eyes, because it's like, sir, it was a divorce. Of course she didn't take it well, but also, what does that have to do with Marissa? And he keeps saying things like, oh, well, you know, it takes more than love to make a marriage work. I don't want to make the same mistakes over and over again, but he's not saying what exactly they have to work on, what exactly is making him scared to move forward. And Marissa's like, you're not giving me anything to work with. Give me something tangible. And she keeps telling him, she's like, I love you. I think that we're great together. I think that we can communicate through anything. And when I tell you that this man is avoiding eye contact, by all means, he's just like, you know, like, I just feel like if we keep pushing things under the rug, like, we're gonna resent each other later. And Marissa's like, what are you talking about? And I felt bad for her, and that confusion is granted, because the whole time he's been like, I've choose you, we're gonna get married, like, we got this, the whole time. But at the end of every uncomfortable moment that they've had, he's always been the one to be like, we're gonna make it, we're gonna make it to that aisle. So to throw her this wrench like 2 days before their wedding, oof. And so finally, after she has to pull it out of him, like, what is the big thing that you think that we won't be able to get over? He's like, well, you know, I just, you know, I'm afraid that our personalities are so different and that I may not be able to take, you know, all that you are forever. And you could see that that hit Marissa so hard. To hear from the person that you love, a person that is supposed to marry you, that you are just too much and they just can't be bothered to deal with it, is hard. But I think what's also harder is that they did have this one conversation in the pods. She told him that she feels like people, you know, are enamored by her personality at first and the way she looks. And then when things get real, they find her personality to be too much. And he told her, no, like, it's perfect, like, we'll figure it out. He had this can-do attitude, because that's the thing about Ramses. This person that he is right now is not the person that he presented himself to be in the pods. In the pods, he was like, I got you. I don't believe in gender roles. I don't believe that everything has to be on you. But out of the pods, he's a caveman that needs sex when he wants it. And the trend that I'm seeing with him and Marissa is that whenever she shows that she's a multi-dimensional person, he wants no part of it. Anytime she shows signs of being human, of being something that is not just fun and just here for his pleasure, he doesn't know what to do. So after hearing him talk about birth control and hearing like the fact that he doesn't prioritize things that they both should be prioritizing, it's no surprise to me that this man is like, oh, you're acting out of line. You're acting completely far from the person that I've created you to be in my head. Yeah, no, I can't do this. She is so deeply hurt by this because she's heard this all before, and she thought that she finally found a person that was past that. You guys, when I tell you that Ramses is talking in circles, and Marissa's like, it sounds to me like you say that you love me, but you say that we need more time. That's not what this experiment is about. So why did you join this? It doesn't sound like you were ever the right fit if that was the thing. And he's like, no. Like 3 weeks is enough. It's just, I'm not sure. All the pressure. Like he's talking about hypotheticals and things that are not making sense, which tells me a few things. I don't think that he ever came for love. I do think he came for clout. And I do think that he came for the possibility of meeting someone hot and raw dogging it up until the very end, which is what he did to Marissa. Marissa did not deserve that. You may not agree with Marissa's politics. You may not agree with her happy-go-lucky attitude, but I think that she's a good person. She's like, I just want someone that's going to choose me. And like they hug to kind of say goodbye. But as they're hugging, you could hear her ask him, are you sure? And he's like, I'm so sorry. Coward. I'm only calling him a coward because I feel like he had his mind made up long before this moment. So I do feel like he kind of led her on. At this point, she's on the floor crying. She's like, you're making a mistake. Like, we have something good here. And he's just looking at her with this like, sad. I don't know if he's acting. I don't know if he is really sad because he feels bad. I don't know what he's feeling, but it's not great. And so he's in the room like bowing his head. Marissa's calling her mom. I'm like, oh God, I don't even want to hear what that lady's gonna say. They definitely cut the cameras before she could say anything crazy. I felt terrible when she was talking to the producers. Marissa could barely get a word out. I was just like, is this humane to record her in this moment? Like, give her some privacy. She is a wreck. Yeah, I feel like Ramses really was a salesman. He really presented himself in one way in the pods and turned out to be someone completely different. So it's unfortunate. The next section is the bachelorette parties and the bachelor parties. There's really not much to say. The guys went to a basketball game, and then the girls had a bachelorette that was very similar to like a 10-year-old's makeup party. I don't know. It felt a bit juvenile for me, but anyway. The weddings. They start with Ashley and Tyler. The location where the wedding is this year, at first, it really doesn't look like anything special from the front. When you get to the actual ceremony, it looks gorgeous. But at first, I was like, this is it? Of course, Ashley's holding area is gorgeous, but where Tyler is, and it's going to be the same place where Garrett has to be, it looks like someone's basement. It doesn't look very glam, very ceremonial. I was like, okay. But we spot Tyler, and he is just crying because he just can't believe he's gotten away with this. I'm kidding. But really, he's crying there like, I can't believe the big day has arrived. He's with his friends. His friends are like, are you sure you're really getting married? We're used to the gangster life. Like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And I don't know. I feel like knowing what we know now, I'm like, his friends know that he's a dog. But they ask him what their plans are after the wedding. And he's like, have some babies. And this man finds a way to talk about babies every single conversation, and it makes me a bit uncomfortable because 1, you've known this person for like 40 days. 2, why don't you take more time to get to know each other? 3, you already have 3 kids. Are you trying to trap her with a baby? It just feels But we see her with her friends, and they're all just, overjoyed for her because she's a career girly. She has great things going on for herself, but she's always wanted to get married. And she's like, I've been waiting for some time. So she's like, I'm glad that the time has come. And they're like, so you're sure? And she's like, yeah, I don't foresee me saying anything but yes, unless something catastrophic happens, unless I see him and I get a weird feeling because I have such great intuition. And I'm like, Ashley, I love that for you. I'm sure that has been true. I don't think that this circumstance proves that. But we see her with her dress. She looks incredible. It fits her like a glove. And it's just a beautiful moment between her and her leading ladies. That's what she calls her mom, her grandma, her besties. And then it's time for her dad to meet up with her, to take her. So the plan is that her dad is going to take her half of the aisle, and then it's going to be her mom that's finishing the rest of the way and handing her to Tyler. As you guys remember, she had, a difficult relationship with her dad after he left her and her mother. So this wedding is really more about her and her mom and them getting their happily ever after. So what she says is that her dad is lucky that he's even part of it and he doesn't get to have a say. She and her dad do have a beautiful moment. He's just like, wow, my baby, like she's, all grown up. And he gives her a speech about, you have to accept the bad with the good. The bad days are important to make you appreciate the good days. And he doesn't know it, and maybe he does because he looks like he was a bit of a player, but he says that to her and she gets it, but I don't think he knows just how fitting that advice is going to be for her. Is Ashley's dad Caribbean? Because that speech was a little long. I was like, okay, and so was Ashley. But anyway, I do want to call out before we get to the actual altar that we do see a moment between Tyler and his mom. We finally get to see someone in his family, and it looks like there's a lot that was discussed but not on camera, because he's crying and she's like nodding and being like, it's okay. I just don't know what we're missing, but what I did gather from this is that his dad is not invited. Sounds like he doesn't feel like he can be emotional around his dad. He can't be vulnerable around his dad. So his dad was not invited. And the mom is like, yeah, it's probably for the best. There's a lot going on there. But anyway, it's time for the wedding. Tyler is waiting at the altar. We have two dancers, beautiful black ballerinas. They're dancing along the aisles like flower girls. It's time for them to go down the aisle. Ashley and her dad squeeze out of this door. This door could not be more awkward to get out of, but they make it out. They make their way to the altar. Tyler is already crying. As I mentioned, this part of the wedding venue is gorgeous. So anyway, it's time for the ceremony. She looks stunning. He looks, he's there. He tries to get through his vows. He barely can do it without crying. She gets through hers really poised, just like dapping her tears. You guys, watching this, I was so upset that social media ruined this for me because, I really was a fan of their story. And if we didn't know what we know, I would watch this ceremony and would be in tears. But instead, I'm just like that the whole time. Just like, ooh, girl, why? Tyler goes first. He says, I do. Ashley says, I do. They are married. So now it's time to jump over the broom to represent them, having a clean slate. But they're going to need a bigger broom. And that's it for them. I mean, we see a little bit of their reception. Ashley, just keeps talking about how happy she is that they found each other, that they wouldn't have found each other without this experiment. She's doing most of the talking. I think that Tyler is in his head because things are about to get real for him and he has no idea. But yeah, I can't wait for the reunion for them because I need to know what she knows. And she may not tell us anything because she wants to protect him, but I just feel like, Anyway, let's move on to Garrett and Taylor's wedding. Taylor walks into the wedding venue and she is like floating by. It's like a Disney princess. She's hearing angels sing. I have never seen her smile this bright. We see Garrett writing. I'm not sure if this was his vows or if it was just another love letter for Taylor, but if anything, we love consistency. We see him talking with his boys and they're like, are you sure about this? This is really quick for you. And he's like, I've been checking my feelings every day to see where I stand because it is a very intense experiment. And Taylor and I have been doing that with each other. And we agreed that we're going to make the best decision for each other at the altar. So that can sound promising, right? Because it's like, they're both on the same page of things. But that also can make anyone nervous because what I would want to hear is a definite yes. Like, I'm crazy about her. there's no other answer that I could give but yes. So in this moment, I'm like, I don't know. But I do appreciate their honesty. We see Taylor with her family. Her mom gives her like a childhood hanky, which makes everyone burst into tears. We see a moment with Garrett and Taylor's dad, and it was nice to see her dad on camera. And her dad is like trying to help him with his tie. But they get to talking, and it's so beautiful to see that Taylor's family has now like really accepted Garrett into their family. Taylor's dad says is that his daughter trusts Garrett. His wife is crazy about Garrett. So he knows to just trust them, and he also just gets a good feeling. And it's just like a really sentimental moment that I think speaks volumes to who Taylor is and just the impression that Garrett has made, which I think is beautiful because from the start, they both talked about how family is like the epicenter of their world. So that's why I'm worried about Garrett's decision, because his family has been expressing concerns, but not in the way that Taylor's family has. Because for the most part, while Taylor's family were like apprehensive about everything and didn't want to appear on camera at first, they have been super supportive. Garrett's family appeared on camera, but then there was a lot of emailing back and forth and a lot of late night talks of them being like, this is so fast, we don't want you to do it, we don't want you to move. So I'm sure that moments like this with Taylor's family are important, but I feel like also would make Garrett feel away. But we do see an appearance from Garrett's family, which I did not expect. I really thought that they weren't gonna show. And the mom is like, you're not one to make spontaneous decisions. So I'm shocked that we're here, but I guess it's too late to talk you off of this decision. I have to trust you. And she's like crying, and that's understandable. I did think that she was giving crazy eyes the first time we saw her, but in this one, I feel like she seems less taken aback and more just emotional that her baby boy is getting married, you know? And I love that when she says that comment about him not usually making spontaneous decisions, Garrett is like, well, things are different, and I love Taylor, and I didn't think that I would find her, and I would be stupid to let her pass me by. Overall, though, I am surprised to see that they are much more supportive. I love that for all of them. The weirdest coincidence is that on this day that they're filming this, they're getting married on the 13th. Her parents' anniversary is the 13th, but so is Garrett's parents. I think that those kind of coincidences are so beautiful, and the fact that they didn't know that, I love that. Taylor looks beautiful. I love the headband. Do love the dress. I was shocked to see that it was short in the front. I would have preferred a gown, but I feel like she looked gorgeous regardless. I think that it really fit her. It was a very modern take on like bride wear. Her bridesmaids also had like white power suits. I thought that it was cool and it was very Taylor. But it was time for their wedding. She's at the altar. The two scientists are reciting the longest vows to each other. It's really sweet, but a bit long-winded. Moral of the story, they didn't expect to find each other and are just in love. So now it's time to figure out whether love is blind. And Garrett, he scared me in the first half. The way that he got to the I do, I was like, ugh. But he does say I do. Taylor says I do too. So they are married. So those pictures that are going around of everyone being like, oh my God, Garrett has a glow up, he must be married. Y'all were so right. And it was to Taylor. They're so in love. They're just glowing. They're raving about how love is truly blind. And you know, of course love is blind when you look like models. You know what I mean? But that was the end of this wedding episode. I feel like it didn't give us a lot because the reunion is about to be a mess. I need to know what Ashley knows. I want to know if during filming, what she asked him, what he revealed to her. Are the things that we're learning today new to her? Did he give her a heads up? I don't know if you guys saw, the mother of his child did make a few videos online, and she revealed her end. He was a donor dad for the first baby, but then was actually super involved. And then the twins, they had it the natural way. And he was in their lives until like the day before he went to film Love is Blind. So it is messy. And it gets messier because then, I don't know if you guys follow Jessie Woo. I love Jessie Woo. Jessie Woo on the channel had the ex-wife of Tyler's baby mom, who was also involved with this whole mess. So there's just so much that's out there, and I would hope that Ashley knows something. Otherwise, I don't know if I could ever recover from this kind of humiliation. You know what I mean? I pray that we don't hear that Marissa and Ramses continue to date outside of the pods, because he simply doesn't deserve her. Now, Hannah and Nick, I've heard some things through the grapevine that have me hot. I'm already hearing things of people being like, they're gonna turn on Nick, saying that he was telling people that he didn't like Hannah the whole time around. Here's the thing. Let's say that is true, you guys. It doesn't dismiss how nasty she was to him. I also have a strong feeling, and we can talk about it next week when we get to the reunion. As a society, we are so deeply fat phobic, and this troll happened to lose weight, and watch them just like be like, oh my god, Hannah, you're skinny now, and just forget about the monstrosities that we saw. And that's gonna piss me off, because Hannah is so obviously trying to be an influencer, and she hasn't learned anything. She's on social media making all these videos, milking Love is Blind, making fun of Nick, doing tutorials on how to boil water. So I just know that it's not gonna go our way. I hope that someone calls her out, but after hearing that, I'm like, oh. Yeah, you guys, that was the wedding episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to read them. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you next week for the reunion.